Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Classic Comics. And today I'm taking a look at the latest episode of The Mandalorian. This is episode 7, The Reckoning. And we'll just go ahead and get right into it here. So, in this episode, it starts out with Mandalorian getting a message from Karga. And Karga has been his town has been overrun by a bunch of Imperial troops that are working for the client, the guy that hired him to track down the kid. Now, Karga suggests that they use the kid as bait in order to lure the client, Werner Herzog's character, into a trap so they can kill him and then free the town from Imperial control. In return, Karga will settle things with the guild for the Mandalorian, and then that'll allow the Mandalorian and the kid to go on their way in peace. Now, the Mandalorian doesn't, trust this, of course. So he decides he needs some backup for this, and so he goes and he gets Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, who of course appeared in one of the previous episodes, and also Quill, the Ugnaught that's voiced by Nick Nolte, who appeared in the first couple of episodes. And when they go to see Quill, it turns out that he has rebuilt and reprogrammed the assassin droid IG-11, who's been reprogrammed now to be a protector rather than to be a killer. And then they head back to Navarro, the planet that Karga is on. Now, once they arrive, Karga's there, and he's got a couple of what he calls security guys there with him. And they head to the town. And then one night they're camping out, overnight. And then they're attacked by a bunch of Minocs. And I didn't think Minocs got that big. In Empire Strikes Back, they just seem to be, I don't know, maybe a few feet long. But in this episode, these Minocs that attack, they're huge. I mean, they're able to take the full-grown men and carry them off, and they can grab the blurgs, the poor blurgs. No one ever thinks of the blurgs, right? And they're able to pick up these blurgs and fly off with them. Now, Karga gets injured in the attack, but then the child heals his wound using the Force. So, in gratitude, Karga winds up killing the two security guys and admits that originally the plan was going to be that they were going to lure the Mandalorian into town and bring him to the client, and then they were going to kill him and then take the kid. But since, the kid healed his wound and saved his life, he doesn't feel like he can go through with it anymore, so they decide to come up with a new plan. And they decide Karga will pretend that Cara Dune captured the Mandalorian, and then the three of them will go to town to meet the client. Meanwhile, Quill is going to take the kid and go back to the Mandalorian ship. Now, during the meeting, of course, Werner Herzog, his character, wants to look at the baby, because they've got the little crib there, or pram, or whatever you call it, but it's covered up, and they're saying, well, no, he's sleeping. And then before he can open up the pram to look, he gets a call. And it's from Moff Gideon, who is obviously this former Imperial guy. And then there's a bunch of laser blasts come in through, firing in from outside that kills Werner Herzog's character and all his guards. And it turns out it's a bunch of Death Troopers. I don't know if you remember the Death Troopers. They were in the beginning of Rogue One. They appeared there. Anyway, they've got the building surrounded, and a bunch of more stormtroopers show up. And they're in one of those troop carriers. One of those Imperial troop carriers. When I was a kid, they had that as a toy. That was a toy you could get. Now, you never saw them in the movies. You didn't see them in Star Wars or in Empire or anything like that. But it looks just like the toy, so I was kind of cool seeing that. I always wanted one of those when I was a kid, but I never got one. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Wendy's and get
A bowl of chili's fine.
What?
A bowl of chili is fine.
Chili? Okay, I'll get you chili.
Okay, and while they're doing this, Quill takes the kid and he heads back to the Mandalorian ship. And so then Moff Gideon arrives, and he's in this pretty cool TIE fighter that the wings kind of fold up and allow him to land. And then he says that, you know, he's here for something that he wants very badly, and insists that the child is, you know, belongs to him rightfully. And then out in the desert, now Quill calls in. They call up Quill and tell him to get out of there, just to get on the ship and get out because it's all a trap. But then a couple of scout troopers, they hear this, and so they hop on their bikes and they head out into the desert. Somehow they find him. They find Quill, and so they wind up killing Quill, and they take the baby. And that's where it ends. You know, it ends kind of on a cliffhanger. They're surrounded, probably going to be killed. The Imperial guys now have the kid. And this was one of the best episodes so far. Maybe the best. Really, the best episode so far. The last few episodes have been pretty good. You know, the first few episodes felt really drawn out, really padded. There wasn't a lot happening. And I think it's pretty clear this is because this whole series is basically that Boba Fett movie that has been repurposed and turned into a series. And those first few episodes are clearly, I don't think were really part of the movie, and so they had to kind of just add in some stuff in order to stretch this out to 8 episodes, and I think it reflects that. But now that we're getting towards the end here, we're getting more into the material that was originally in the screenplay for the movie, and so that's why the story's much better and why it's picking up. So overall, yeah, a really good episode. The director, Deborah Chow, you know, this is her second episode. She did a good job. And the twists and turns were good. I mean, they were a little predictable. You knew that Cargo was going to lay a trap for him. And after the kid healed him, I kind of had a feeling he would then have a change of heart and wouldn't betray them, which it turned out to be the case. So it's a little predictable. But then I didn't see, you know, all the Imperial troops like the Death Troopers and everyone else showing up at the end and surrounding the building. And Werner Herzog's character being killed. I didn't see that either. So some good twists and turns. And yeah, overall, just a really, really good episode. This series is ending really strong. So, I'm hoping this thing, the final episode, will not be disappointing and will have a solid ending. What I'm wondering is if they're going to end this series on a cliffhanger, you know, this whole season on a cliffhanger, or not. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because I believe they've already picked the show up for a second series, I think. So, what about you? What did you think of this show? Did you like this episode? Did you hate this episode? And while you're at it, let me know in the comments. And I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.